It's easy to get caught up in the romance of using reclaimed wood, but at the end of the day, it's still just a commodity that has a financial value. Pricing is a delicate balance. If you set your price too low, you're possibly leaving money on the table. And if you're priced too high, you risk scaring off a potential customer. There's no doubt about it, this is a big topic and extremely important. Welcome to The Den, Authentic Barnwood. My name is Troy, and this channel is all about the sourcing, salvaging, and reclaiming of antique wood. We also throw in a few do-it-yourself type projects and tool reviews. Oh, trust me, I get it. Pricing your barnwood, whether it be raw or finished, can be a challenging and frustrating process to go through. I'm here to tell you, it doesn't have to be that way. I know a lot of people are interested and a lot of people are curious, but they're not quite sure where to start. And this is going to give you an excellent foundation moving forward. Number one, you're going to have to get that baseline first. When I'm talking about baseline, that's baseline of just the raw wood itself. It's important to establish that first. Let's say a 2x4, for example. I have a 2x4 that I reclaimed out of a building. It's 80 years old, it's 8 feet long, 2x4. Okay, pretty standard dimension. Now, what you can do is go to the local hardware store or lumber supply store and find out what the price of it is, trying to match the same species. For this example, that piece, a 2x4 that I got out of an old house, it's spruce, okay? So you can even do this just over the internet, is just find out what a 2x4 is worth, okay? So that's gonna give you kind of a ballpark. Now, the reason why I recommend this one as a starting point, at least for one example, is because it's really straightforward and easy to do. It's also, if you take yourself out of the seller viewpoint and you go from the buyer's viewpoint, well, reclaimed wood, I mean, like, the price is kind of pretty murky, how people come up with prices. They're gonna immediately look at something that's accessible and something that they're familiar with, and that's the standard pricing that you know, let's say it's $5 for a 2x4. Well, they're gonna kind of value your wood at $5 unless you can show them why it's worth $7, okay? But to know that, you know, at least you're kind of in the ballpark. If you're higher than that price, which generally reclaimed wood is, so you might shy some people away, but you probably never wanted to deal with them anyways. The 2x4 was just an example. I mean, that goes for beams, planks, any type of wood that you might have for sale. So that's a great way to estimate the value of what you have. That's number one. Number two, which is my least favorite out of all of them, I call it the Me Too theory. And that's where you are looking through some of the want ads or the listings that you find maybe in a place that you want to list your wood, and you say, oh, look, oh, I just found, oh, that's pretty similar to the wood that I'm looking at. Oh, you know, price $2, okay? And you're scrolling through it, oh, there's some more reclaimed wood, $2. All right, $2, looks like everyone's selling it for $2. I better sell it for $2 too. Me too, me too. Now, I warn you against this because, well, it's something you should be aware of, what people are trying to sell it for, but I warn you against it because you have no idea how these people came across this wood and if they're in fact making a profit or not. Right? It really comes down to, like, well, okay, so what happens if you go the Me Too theory and you're like $2 a square foot or board foot or however they're selling it, you're matching their price. Well, someone comes along and is like, oh, $2, I'll buy it. And you go ahead and sell it to later find out that you actually didn't even cover the expenses of, or hardly covered your expenses of collecting the wood itself. Well, then was it even worth it? So I warn you against that one, but it is important, I think, a factor to consider when establishing your own base. At least I give you a sort of a ballpark figure, right? But I'll come back to this and explain a little bit more as we go into the third example, which is coming up next. As this video is playing and you guys think of something maybe that comes to mind of a tip for people for selling wood, maybe that might find handy, go ahead, slip her down in the comments. I'll guarantee to read it, and I'm sure there's many others that you'll help as well. Let's open this conversation and see if we all can't get on the same page, or at least a page that's, you know, the same color or the same language. So number three, Yeah, this is the banger, actually. Yeah, this is the banger. And it's probably the most solid way to build a foundation price point for your reclaimed wood. This example here is actually going out to a building and collecting the wood. Now, what we'll do is we will time every section, okay? Like for example, taking the siding off. How much time did it take? Record that in hours, okay? Give or take, you know, as long as you're in the ballpark. Let's say that it took 8 hours to take the siding off. And to take the siding off, there was 2 people helping me. Now we're calculating the expense. So you had a couple people, you had fuel to get out there and back, factor in some special tools that you might have needed, or perhaps you needed to rent some equipment to get up at heights. Get your total expenses, you get your total time spent, and you get your total volume of wood. And now you can start calculating down the value per board. Now, simply all you have to do is times it by 2 or try times it by 2.5. Now you can make a whole range if you wanted, like 2.75, 3 times 3.75. You know, just keep going. You can make this whole range of what you want to sell it. Now that way, for sure, you're going to cover the expenses to get the product itself, and also you're gonna make some money, which means you get cheese with your sandwiches. And it sure is nice to have cheese on your sandwich. The same principle, like we said, for the siding. Now do the same thing for the roof boards, the rafters, the walls, the floors. You do it all. You do it all, and you record it all. It's gonna take a little bit of extra steps, I guess. It won't be a lot of work, but it'll be a little extra steps. But in the end, you're gonna thank yourself, and I guarantee you, you're gonna do this again as well. And then it'll come to a point where you just know off the top of your head, okay, well, it takes me 3 hours to do this, and there's not much wood, and well, it looks like I'm getting this much money. Now, go back to that Me Too theory, okay? So I'm scrolling through my phone, and I'm seeing $2. Oh, okay, oh, that's pretty good, okay. And you're scrolling through, and you're like, oh, $2, $2. You scroll through, and you're like, $4. Why is this guy so much? It looks just like the same wood that's for, scroll back, $2. Oh, $4, okay. Well, let's look into that. So now you got their attention, and you can explain how you got it in your listing, okay? So now you got someone attracted to it, and they're looking at it. They're like, oh, okay, so, oh, this wood here, it's nicely stacked, indoors. Oh, these pictures are really sharp. There's nothing in the background, really nicely lit. Ooh. Oh man, this stuff would be perfect. It's de-nailed, cleaned, and ready to go. Next thing you know, you're getting a phone call, right? That's how it happens. If you go ahead and try this like third method that I was mentioning, you'll find that you'll just start emerging into more of like a leadership, right? Where people are gonna start following you. And now the standard price, all the Me Too's, is like $4, right? But the difference is the value add, you know that you can offer this value add, you know, like assign a value to denailing, assign a value to cleaning the wood, assign a value to milling the wood. So you can do that by simply going through that whole calculation again, taking how much time it takes you to clean the boards or all that whole list that I just mentioned about. Just compartmentalize everything into segments and find out how much it costs, including the supplies it took to complete the job, and offer that. That way you can actually encompass a lot of people. You could also give a range of price, so say from $2 to $4 or whatever that number might be. The better handle that you have on expenses is just gonna help you in the future, just being like, just understanding why the price is what it is. Like if you wanna test this kind of a thing and you feel okay with like calling around and asking people for prices, pretty much guarantee anyone that's into Barnwood is like, just like, psh, it's like locked up. No one wants to talk about this, and it is rather frustrating. But that's kind of the way it is. And I guess you just gotta kind of forget about everyone else and just kind of look after yourself and figure out a method, a strategy, a pricing strategy that works for you to ensure that you're earning a profit and you're not just doing all this work for nothing. I really hope that this helped you at least get started, and I guarantee you, if you're into salvaging wood, you're gonna wanna watch this video next.